The sound of Judge Alcott's gavel echoes through the courtroom, a signal that the decision has been made. The motion is granted, he declares, giving my father more time to review my mother's medical records. 5 adjournments in the 8 months since her death. As I watch my father, Leonard Wright, manipulate the system once again, I feel the pressure in my chest tighten. I fight not only for the inheritance, but for my mother's last dignity. What is he trying to hide? What more does he want? Every step we take in this courtroom seems to lead us deeper into the truth hidden in my mother's past, and perhaps too great for him to hide. The courtroom is chilly, not just from the temperature, but from the tension in the air. I force myself not to look over to where my father, Leonard Wright, sits with his lawyer, Mark Delaney. He murmurs something that makes them both smile, and my stomach churn. 5 postponements, 5 legal battles in which, each time, control over my mother's inheritance slips through my fingers like sand. Mother has been gone for 8 months, but for my father, her death is just another opportunity to manipulate, another way to appropriate what she has achieved. The judge, Alcott, simply watches without a hint of awareness of the manipulation, or perhaps he has already grown accustomed to it. I force myself to remain calm, to not show my feelings, but the words of Clara, my lawyer, echo in my mind. He's playing dirty, and the worst part is that he's succeeding. We ask for more time to review Miss Foster's medical records. My father's voice rings out, cold and calculated. The judge nods, granting him what he wants once again. Words jumble in my mind, and all I can think is, why? Why is he doing this? My father isn't just a businessman. He's a manipulator, a master at using the law to get what he wants. He already took everything from my mother during the separation, and now he wants more. The money, the house she lived in after the divorce, the antique trunk she inherited from the family. All of this is at stake, but what does he really want? I close my eyes for a moment, trying to maintain control. I feel the pressure in my chest, as if breathing is becoming more difficult by the second. My body seems unable to bear the weight of the struggle. I'm exhausted. Not only from the process itself, but from the constant pain of seeing my father act as if nothing matters beyond what he can take from my mother, and now from me. I remember when I was 15 and my mother told me, her voice trembling, that my father wasn't coming home. He'd left her for a younger woman, Vanessa Clark, with whom he'd been having a secret affair. The pain of watching her suffer, and at the same time, the strength with which she moved forward, rebuilding her life from scratch, stayed with me. She never said anything bad about him, always saying, "He's still your father, Brittany." But I knew she was broken inside. And he, the man who put us through this, is once again trying to take from me what's rightfully mine. And now, he wants my mother reduced to a number in a will. That trunk, that house, those documents, that's what he really wants. It's not about money. It's about power. And he's trying to destroy even the most precious thing she had, her last will and testament. Clara squeezes my hand under the table, a small gesture, but one that carries great meaning. "Don't let him see he's getting to you," she whispers. I know she's right. He can't see that I'm on the verge of collapse. And I, more than ever, need to stay strong. I can't let him win again. Judge Alcott, seemingly oblivious to what's happening, continues with the proceedings. I know he won't take any action against what's happening here. He seems complicit in something much bigger, but what is it? How is he so willing to ignore all the evidence of manipulation and corruption? What's his game? My thoughts are interrupted when, suddenly, I find myself back in the past, when everything seemed simpler. It was an ordinary morning, in our kitchen, and my mother, her eyes brimming with tears, told me that my father wouldn't be coming home. I remember her words and how, looking at her, I saw more than a devastated woman. I saw a warrior who, despite everything, still fought for her family, for her dignity. Now, before the court, I'm no longer that 15-year-old girl. I'm no longer the daughter who watched helplessly as her mother suffered. I'm the woman who will fight for her, who will turn things around. I won't allow him to take away everything she fought for, until her last breath. My father will lose, even if I have to seek justice alone. The pressure in my chest doesn't ease, and my nervousness grows with each passing second. I see my father and his attorney, Mark Delaney, exchanging knowing glances, and I know something is going on beyond what they're trying to hide. Every time Judge Alcott concedes to my father, the weight of the fight seems to increase. I can't afford to falter, but inside me, a question keeps recurring. Why is he doing this? I knew my father wasn't an easy person to deal with, but I never imagined he would be so ruthless, so willing to destroy every last memory of my mother. He'd always been like this, manipulative, controlling everything around him. When he and my mother divorced, she was left with almost nothing, even after years of dedication. She never complained, never spoke ill of him, but I knew what he had done to her. And now he was doing the same to me. But what did he really want? He had already taken everything he could from our family, and still, it wasn't enough. He wasn't satisfied with the inheritance money, the house, or the antique trunk. I knew there was something more, something deeper, that he wanted to keep hidden. My mind wanders back to the days when everything began to fall apart. I remember the shock and pain when my mother told me, at 15, that my father had cheated on her with Vanessa Clark, her coworker. The revelation hit me like a blow to the gut. My mother, always so dignified, so strong, told me with eyes full of sadness, "He's not coming home, Brittany. He left me for her." I remember watching my mother, her eyes swollen from crying, rising from a situation that seemed impossible to overcome. She didn't let herself be beaten, even when the world collapsed around her. She was a strong woman, and yet she never spoke ill of him. She still said, "He's your father, Brittany." But I knew she was broken inside, that he had hurt her beyond repair. Years later, she rebuilt her life, starting over in Tacoma. She bought a small house with what little she had and made it her home. She never let me feel like we were without anything, even when life seemed to push us toward the abyss. She never complained, never asked for help. She was a silent warrior, and I, at 15, saw this firsthand, without fully understanding. Today, in court, my mother's story seems to be being repeated. She was silenced by the system, by my father's manipulation, and by the connivance of people who should have been impartial, like Judge Alcott. The difference is that now, I'm no longer that 15-year-old girl who didn't know how to fight. Now, I'm a woman determined not to let him win again. I look at Clara, my lawyer and friend, who stands beside me. She's been my rock during these difficult times, helping me maintain my composure, keeping my father from seeing the pain he still causes me. She squeezed my hand under the table, giving me strength, as if she knew what I was feeling. "Don't let him see he's getting to you, Brittany. He wants to see you broken. Don't give him the satisfaction," she whispers. I nod, taking a deep breath to calm myself. I can't let him win. I can't let him destroy what my mother built, what she did for us, even if it was in silence. What he doesn't know is that he's already lost. He just hasn't realized it yet. Judge Alcott continues reading papers, ignoring my attorney, Clara, who tries to remain firm, but we know he's already made up his mind before entering that room. He's no longer concerned with justice. He's concerned with protecting Leonard's interests. Once again, the system has failed, and I'm here to prove it. But suddenly something catches my eye. I see my father's lawyer, Mark Delaney, move, and he quickly gives Leonard a discreet nod. They exchange a glance, and I can see what's happening. They're playing a card to delay everything once again. They know time is against them. They want this to go as long as possible to ensure the truth doesn't come out. My stomach churns, but I won't give in. Not this time. I stand, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze in the room. The judge looks at me, and I can tell he's not happy about my interruption, but I don't care. I open my mouth and, in a firm voice, say, "We've already turned over all the medical records.
Twice.
There are no inconsistencies, Your Honor. We won't delay this any longer. My mother deserved respect, and I'm here to make sure she gets it, even if you're not offering it." The room falls silent. My father and his lawyer look at me with contempt. I know they expected me to shut up, to cower under the pressure. But no, not anymore. My father stands up, his expression one of anger and contempt, and begins to speak condescendingly. My daughter is emotionally damaged, Mr. Honor. She doesn't understand what's at stake here, he says, trying to downplay my importance.
He's always done this.
He's always tried to silence me, to make me feel like I have no voice. But he doesn't know that I'm a different woman now. I have the truth on my side. The room fills with murmurs, but I don't give up. I know the battle is just beginning, and there's still much to be done to ensure my mother gets the respect she deserves. I won't let him erase her, as if she never existed. I look at Clara, and she smiles at me, an approving smile. She knows I'm ready to move on. I won't let my father and the system control me anymore. They may try to tear me down, but I will rise again, because the truth will always prevail. The courtroom seems to stretch, the air heavy and dense, as if all the tension is concentrated there, ready to explode at any moment. My father, once again, tries to manipulate the situation. The judge, no doubt already aware of the maneuvers he's using, pretends to be impartial, but I can see how much he's missing. His gaze upon us is blank, without empathy, as if he's already decided what will happen. I focus again on my mother. Everything she did, everything she built with so much sacrifice. She never asked for anything. She just wanted peace, dignity, the right to live the rest of her life without Leonard's constant shadow over her. She never let grief overwhelm her. Even after the divorce, she never gave in. She was silent, but she was firm. And now it's my turn to be her voice. I think to myself, I can no longer hide in the shadow of fear. I can no longer let it and others continue to destroy what she built. She didn't have the strength to fight in the end, but I do. I'm here, and I will ensure her final wishes are respected. Clara stands beside me, and I can see in her eyes that she understands the weight of this. She knows this isn't just a fight for inheritance. It's about so much more. It's about justice. And most importantly, it's about revealing what has been hidden for so long. She touches my shoulder, and the simple gesture gives me strength. She knows I won't give up now. I've already asked for more than enough time, I say, my voice firmer than ever. We've provided all the requested documents, and the medical records have already been submitted twice, Your Honor. There's nothing else my father needs to review. He's just prolonging this out of pure manipulation. Judge Alcott looks at me, and I see the slightest hesitation in his eyes. He didn't expect me to speak like that, but I don't care what he thinks.
He won't intimidate me.
He won't make me feel powerless. I feel my entire body tense, and my mind races faster than ever. The fight is intensifying, and I know my father is preparing to react. He leans forward, and his expression, now hardened with anger, says it all. He's about to attack, but before he can open his mouth, Clara stands up quickly, her posture as firm as mine. Sir, Mrs. Wright is right. We've already provided all the necessary documents, and there's no longer any justification for delaying this process, Clara says, her voice calming but full of authority. What's happening here isn't just an inheritance dispute. This is a blatant attempt to manipulate the justice system. I sense something happening in the courtroom, a growing pressure, as if the pieces are starting to move. I glance at the judge, but he's already turning to look at my father and his attorney, Mark Delaney. Something in his expression tells me he's beginning to realize what's at stake here. We're dealing with a case of inheritance, but also of judicial manipulation, Clara continues, her voice incisive. Leonard Wright is trying to manipulate the courts and this court to obtain something that doesn't belong to him. I watch as Delaney and my father exchange quick glances, as if considering a new strategy. The mood in the room is shifting. Clara's words have made a bigger impact than I imagined. Something in the way the judge looks at her makes me feel like he's finally starting to understand. But that's not enough. I know the game isn't over yet. And now that the referee seems to be considering the gravity of the situation, I know I have to take the next step. I take a deep breath, watching my father, whose eyes are fixed on me with silent hatred. I can see the anger building in him, and I feel a chill run down my spine. He wants to destroy me. He always has. But he will no longer have that power. My father was always good at hiding his intentions, I say, now looking directly at him. But what he didn't realize is that my mother already set the record straight. She knew he would do whatever it took to manipulate the system, and she was prepared for it. She knew that one day I would have to fight for her. And that's what I'm doing now, fighting for the last thing she left me. The room falls silent. All eyes are on me. My father, Delaney, and the judge. Even my father's lawyer seems to be at a loss for words. The weight of the truth begins to fall upon everyone. I know this is just the beginning, but it's a crucial beginning. I look at Clara, and she smiles slightly, as if she knows we've just changed the course of things. Finally, Judge Alcott seems to realize the gravity of the situation. He shifts in his chair and looks at my father's lawyer. Mr. Delaney, the judge says, his voice now firmer. I believe we will need to review the full record of documents in this case. We will schedule a new hearing. The smile of victory I felt inside me begins to grow. Finally, we're making a difference. Finally, justice is beginning to be served. But at the same time, I know this battle is far from over. My father, Leonard, won't give up so easily. He's not the type to give up, and with every move he makes, the fight grows more intense. I close my eyes for a moment and let the sense of relief blend with the worry. This isn't just about me, nor about the inheritance. This is about something much bigger. It's about protecting my mother's memory and ensuring she has the peace she always deserved. When I open my eyes again, I see Clara looking at me with a confident look. She knows we're winning, but she also knows there's still a long way to go. Let's keep fighting, she says with a firm smile. We have the upper hand now. I take a deep breath, my heart pounding, and for the first time since my mother passed away, I feel like I'm on the right path. Finally, I'm fighting with her strength, the strength of a woman who never gave in. The battle in court is no longer a simple inheritance dispute. The truth, long buried, begins to emerge, like a flame slowly consuming the lies built up over years. I feel the weight of responsibility on my shoulders, but also a sense of growing power. My mother knew this day would come, that the truth would be revealed. She always believed that, at some point, someone would have the courage to confront the corruption she knew existed. Judge Alcott still seems undecided, but his chosen path is beginning to take shape. As I stood up and spoke with the confidence of someone no longer afraid, I made it clear to everyone there that the game is changing. I'm not just fighting for an inheritance, a piece of land, or a treasure chest. I'm fighting for my mother's name, for her dignity, and for her story, which should never have been hidden. The looks exchanged between my father and his lawyer are filled with despair. They know they've lost precious ground. The fact that Clara exposed judicial manipulation and flaws in the system is something that, while very subtle, doesn't go unnoticed by those who understand the intricacies of the law. They were counting on fatigue, time, and emotional exhaustion to make me give up. But now, they know they won't be able to. And, the worst part for them? I'm just getting started. Clara, with her discreet smile and calculating gaze, says nothing to me. She just observes. She knows we still have a long journey ahead of us, but I can see the pride in her eyes. It's not just the inheritance that's at stake. She knows we're challenging something much bigger. The corruption within the system, the way the powerful manage to manipulate the rules without anyone noticing. My fight is for all those who have no voice, for all those who, like my mother, are silenced. With each passing day, I become more certain of one thing. My mother knew much more than she let on. The smile on her face during the separation, when she lost everything to my father, was disguising a much more sophisticated plan. She knew what she was doing, and now, with what we're unearthing, I see how much she laid the groundwork for me. She knew that one day I would have to fight to protect her memory and everything she left me, especially that trunk. That trunk. I remember her words when I was a child. When the time is right, you will know what to do with it. I never knew exactly what she meant until now. Now, looking back at the process, at what is unfolding before me, I understand. The trunk is not just an inheritance of material value. It contains more than that. It holds the truth, the proof of what happened during years of manipulation and deception. It holds what, perhaps, my father and his allies tried to erase. The courtroom now has a new dynamic. The judge is beginning to realize the gravity of the charges, and even my father's lawyer seems uneasy. They know that if we go forward with what we have, the consequences will be too great to ignore. But the truth cannot be hidden forever. They may have manipulated the law, but they cannot hide what is documented in the pages of my mother's story. And in the meantime, I stand firm, ready for whatever comes next. During the break in the session, Clara accompanies me to the hallway, and she looks at me with a serious expression. "I think it's time to gather everything we have," she says. "We need to show you what you found in the trunk. We already know that Leonard and Alcott have many secrets together. And the worst part is that they think they'll get away with it." I take a deep breath. I know we have what we need. I can't wait any longer. My mother prepared me for this moment. The treasure chest she left me holds the key to exposing the fallacies that underpin everything my father and his lawyer have tried to do to date. They may have manipulated the system to their advantage, but now is the time to turn things around. The sound of the judge's gavel once again interrupts my train of thought. We're back in the courtroom. The courtroom now seems even more oppressive. Clara and I exchange a look and sit down. My father and his lawyer are back in their positions, and Judge Alcott, despite his authoritative posture, is visibly more tense. They don't know what's coming. They don't yet know that, now, the power is on my side. The judge looks at my father's lawyer. "Mr. Delaney," he begins, his voice firm, "I'd like to hear your thoughts on the recent developments. It appears this case has taken a new turn." Delaney swallows hard. "Your Honor, there are a few matters that need to be discussed before we proceed. But I believe everything will be resolved in time." I can almost hear the lie in her voice, but I remain calm. I know what they're trying to do. They want the case to drag on, to wear me down, to let time get the better of me. But that won't happen. I'm ready for anything. And when the moment comes, when the truth is finally revealed, everyone will know who's really manipulating the rules. I'm no longer the helpless daughter who watched my father destroy my mother's life. I'm the woman who will fight to the end for justice. I know victory won't come easily, but for the first time in a long time, I feel in control. And I won't let anyone take that away from me. The fight for my mother, for her memory, has just begun, but now I have all the pieces of the puzzle. They can try to manipulate the system, but the truth will never be erased. What was done in the shadows is being brought to light, and no matter how difficult it is, I will ensure my mother has the peace she always deserved. The sound of the courtroom door slamming behind me echoes like a signal that something momentous is about to happen. Judge Alcott retreats to his private chambers to deliberate, and my father and his lawyer gather to discuss their next moves. Their every move, every word exchanged, only strengthens my conviction that they are trying to protect something much bigger than a simple inheritance. It's not just the money, the house, or the trunk. It's something my mother knew, something she had guarded so carefully, something my father and his allies deeply fear. I look at Clara, who's beside me, already organizing all the documents we've gathered. She doesn't need to say anything, but I see the sparkle in her eyes. She knows we're getting closer to the truth. With each new discovery, a piece of the puzzle falls into place, and the lies begin to crumble. My mother's trunk, which for so long was just an heirloom, is now the key to everything. I always knew my mother was more than she seemed. She wasn't just the woman who devoted herself to me, who did everything possible to protect me. She was an intelligent woman who knew what was going on around her. She knew the lengths her ex-husband, my father, was willing to go to manipulate the system. And she prepared for it. "Clara, I can't wait any longer. The truth needs to come out now," I say, my voice firm and resolute. She looks at me, her expression serious, but full of confidence. "I know, Brittany. And the time is coming. We've already had enough to show this is all a sham." As the court prepares for the next hearing, my body tenses with anticipation. I know what comes next will be crucial. The pieces falling into place aren't just about my mother's inheritance. They're about her past, the connections she made, and the secrets she's kept all these years. No matter how long it takes, I will uncover everything. I will expose the truth. When the hearing resumes, the mood is different. Something has changed, and I'm not the only one who notices it. My father is more nervous, visibly uncomfortable. Judge Alcott, who once seemed so confident, now hesitates. He knows something is happening, something he can no longer ignore. I feel a sense of revenge, not because I want to see my father suffer, but because he needs to face the consequences of his actions. He can no longer manipulate the system for his own benefit. The room is quieter than ever. All eyes are on me and my team. I know that, in that moment, the decision we make will change everything. I look at my mother's trunk, which is now in my hands. It represents everything she was, everything she fought to protect. Inside it lies the truth. I know that if we can expose what's inside, the consequences for my father will be devastating. He will no longer be able to hide what he did. The judge finally stands, breaking the silence with his deep voice. The court needs more information before proceeding with the case. We have new documents that need to be reviewed. I know the decision has been made. The tide has turned in our favor. The trunk, the documents, and the evidence my mother left behind become the key to victory. I finally understand what she meant when she asked me to fight for what was hers. She wasn't just leaving me a material inheritance. She was leaving me a mission. And now, it's my turn to finish what she started. The courtroom feels smaller now, more oppressive, as if the weight of the truth is finally invading every corner, leaving behind only the remnants of the lies my father and his lawyer have tried to construct over the years. The evidence we've gathered, the trunk, my mother's documents, all of it is about to become a revelation that will undoubtedly change the course of this case forever. My father, who once seemed so confident of his victory, now stands on the brink of defeat. He senses, as I do, that the tide is turning. Every document presented, every word I say, builds an impenetrable wall of evidence. I know he's wondering what else he can do, how he can get out of this, but truth is a force that cannot be ignored. I look at Clara beside me, and I know she's as certain as I am that we've reached the end of this long process. With each new step, what once seemed like an endless battle now reveals itself as the outcome of a story that needed to be told. And this story is more than just a dispute over assets. It's about my mother, about who she was, about what she left behind, and about how we, her children, must honor her legacy. I stand up again. The courtroom, the room, the judge, everything seems to have disappeared around me. It's just me and my mother now. She was always more than a simple woman who fought for her home and possessions. She was a woman who, behind her apparent fragility, hid an incomparable strength. A strength that made me who I am today, a woman who fights for justice, for truth, fearlessly. I can't let this end in another defeat. Not for her. Not for me. The judge finally looks at me, and for the first time, I see in him something more than a simple law enforcement officer. He's finally beginning to grasp the gravity of what we're revealing. He has before him the evidence that shows the system's manipulation, the corruption hidden behind a facade of respect and authority. He looks at my father, and it's as if, in that look, he's saying the lie is over. When he speaks, his voice is different. Firmer, more aware of the responsibility he carries. This court, ladies and gentlemen, has a duty to ensure that the truth is respected, no matter how much it hurts. I feel a growing relief, a sense that I'm finally on the right path. My father is on the verge of losing everything he's tried to hide for years. Justice, which has been manipulated for so long, is now about to be restored. Not because of me, but because of my mother. She left me with the mission to fight for her, to ensure her story wouldn't be erased, and I've finally fulfilled that duty. As the judge makes his final statement, I know we have one. The truth will be respected, and what my father and his allies have tried to hide for so long will be exposed for all to see. Justice will finally be served. And so, with the end of this battle, a new chapter begins, not just for me, but for all those fighting for justice. This process has taught me something valuable. The truth always finds a way, even when all seems lost. And no matter how difficult the journey, the reward comes when we are true to ourselves and to what is right. Now, my mother's story is preserved, her legacy is secure, and her legacy of courage and resilience will always be remembered. But this struggle also represents something greater, a fight for truth, justice, and the dignity of all of us. And if there's one thing this story teaches us, it's that we should never give up, even when the odds seem against us. If you are inspired by this story of struggle and overcoming, be sure to like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we can spread more stories of courage and justice. Let's continue this journey together, and who knows what battle we'll face next. Don't miss it.